Good morning, or depending on when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always, told out of Voice of Radio. So today we need to have a look at the best cards to pull from your Stellar Crown pre-release. Yeah, that's right. Stellar Crown pre-releases are happening, next weekend. And that's going to be fun. I, for one, am excited about Stellar Crown pre-releases. You should be too. But we need to have a look at the best cards to pull. Which cards from the set are likely to, be the most valuable, the most sought after, phrase it how you will. Although really here, we're talking about cards that are going to be cool. It's not all just about value, although yes, that is obviously going to come into it as well. Sound like a plan? Excellent. Now, there's a couple of things we can look at here. First of all, we can have a look at the Japanese set Stellar Miracle. Because generally speaking, our set is largely the same as Japanese set Stellar Miracle. Therefore, the most expensive cards from that Japanese set are largely going to translate to the most valuable, the most sought after, the best cards to pull, etc. from this English set, Stellar Crown. Well, the thing is, it's not just about that, although it is, and we'll get to those in a minute, don't get me wrong. But we also need to mention that there are two cards coming in Stellar Crown, which were not in the Japanese set Stellar Miracle because they were previously released promos, that absolutely should be getting up into this list. And that is the illustration rare of Squirtle and Bulbasaur. Both of those cards are, to put it bluntly, a pretty big deal. And here's the thing, in every set at the moment, for some reason, we basically as a community pick a random illustration rare and make it way more expensive than it really has any right to be. It keeps happening and it's a little bit weird. They end up being way more expensive than the Japanese equivalent. So if we have a look at Shrouded Fable, for instance, the most recent set, we went and did it with Persian. Persian's sitting at like a $30 card right now, which makes very little sense. This one should be a few bucks. Shouldn't be a $30 card, it's way too expensive. I don't think we need to try and figure out what the card is going to be when we get to Stellar Crown. I think it's just going to be these two. Firstly, they're first partner Pokémon, that's good. Secondly, they're from Gen 1, that's good. And thirdly, these are cards that came out in Japan a while ago. And we've been waiting for them, very patiently, I might add. And now the fact that we're actually getting them is frankly a pretty big deal. I expect both of these to be extremely sought after cards. I expect them both to be frankly a pretty gosh darn big deal. So expect these to be kind of $30 plus cards. At least initially. Maybe they'll calm down if the bull rates are high enough, etc. But at least at the outset, you can expect both of these cards to be very important, very sought after. You know, like the Persian at the moment, for instance, is trending higher than the Duskull and Dusknoir, which are like key cards in a bunch of decks right now. Dusknoir is the real good card, but Duskull is what it evolves from, so, there we go. Yeah, Persian's being out both of them right now, which doesn't really make a huge amount of sense. Well, these two will make a huge amount of sense. So when you go into your Stellar Crown pre-releases, look for these two cards. I was hoping they were going to be in the set. I predicted they were going to be in the set. But now that they are confirmed to be in the set, it is a very big deal and people are going to be very happy. Now, in terms of the rest of the set, there are two cards that really do sit above and beyond the rest. And that is your Special Illustration Rare Lacey and your Special Illustration Rare Terrapagos. They are the number 1 and 2 card in the set. Over in Japan, Lacey is about 50% higher than Terrapagos, but these are the top 2 cards by a mile. Like, if we look in Japan, Lacey is about a 15,000 yen card. Terrapagos is about a 9,000 yen card, and nothing else is above 3,000 yen. So Terrapagos is about 3 times as high as the number 3, and Lacey is about 5 times as high as the number 3. Make no mistake about it, when I say these are the top 2 cards in the set in terms of value, in terms of being sought after, I mean they are the top 2, and it's not even remotely close. These are the number 1 and 2. Now, in terms of Lacey, the card's alright. shuffle your hand into your deck, draw 4 cards, but if your opponent's got 3 or fewer prizes remaining, draw until you've got 8 instead. Or draw 8 because you shuffled your hand in. And the thing is, right, Lacey is great, but you're late in the game and there's other cards you might want to use late in the game and it's not that good in the early game and it's fine. But it's Lacey and there's other characters on there, which is always a bonus because then fans of that character want the card as well. And you add it all up and frankly, this is a good card that people are going to be very much after. And there's your answer, honestly. As for Terapagos, firstly, the card's awesome. Secondly, Terapagos is like the guy from the DLC, which always helps. And thirdly, it's a really good card. And we've got an English scan of this one, where we've got English scans, I'm showing them to you. Where we only have Japanese scans, I'm showing you those because I'm doing the best I can. But Terapagos has got Unified Beatdown. If you go second, you can't use it, which is a bit sad. And obviously, if you go first, you can't attack turn 1 going first. But it's 30 damage for each of your bench Pokemon. Add in Area 0 Underdepths from this set, and that's 240 for 2 energy. Plus, you've got an attack that stops basic non-colorless Pokemon from attacking you. I mean, I'm just saying, this is a pretty gosh darn good card. We like this one. And yeah, great artwork. Great card. These really are the number 1 and 2 by a mile over in Japan. And then there are a bunch of others. So if we stick with supporter cards for a little while, we got the special illustration rare of Briar. Now over in Japan, this is actually the number 3 card in the set for what it's worth. But again, remember what I said. It's, a third of Terapagos or 20%, a fifth of Lacey. So it is a number 3 card in the set. I won't lie about that. But there is a fairly significant difference between them, I think is fair to say. But Briar is still a pretty popular character, and it's still a beautiful card, and it's still a special illustration rare, and it's actually a really good card. Now, you can only use it if your opponent's got exactly 2 prize cards remaining, but if you take a KO with a Terra Pokemon this turn, you get to take an extra prize. Like, don't tell me that doesn't sound amazing. It's already a staple in a bunch of decks over in Japan. And I imagine it's going to keep... For as long as we've got Terra Pokemon, right? For as long as Terra Pokemon are a thing, you should expect this to be a thing as well. You should expect this to be a card which just keeps popping up. Because you know what? It's that gosh darn good. Elsewhere in supporter cards, we got the full art of Lacey. Don't need to say too much about that because we've talked a lot about Lacey. This is just the full art version of it, and people are going to be very, very happy about it. And then we've also got full art Crispin as well, although full art Crispin is about 2/3 of Lacey. So we are talking, in terms of these supporter cards I'm mentioning here, Crispin is a good card, absolutely worth pulling, going to be sought after, but it is clearly the lowest of the supporters I'm talking about. Now, this is also a very cool card because you get to search your deck for 2 different kinds of basic energy. One gets attached to one of your Pokemon, and one goes into your hand, which is kind of cool. Really nice for those decks like the Terra decks that need awkward energy costs. And it's a nice clean full art. I think people are going to like it. That's what we got in terms of supporter cards. In terms of Pokemon, there are a couple other special illustration rares we need to worry about, and they are Hydrapple and Dashbun. Now, Hydrapple is miles below Terapagos, and Dashbun is about 2/3 of Hydrapple. So again, we're not talking about huge powerhouses here. They are significantly below the others, but they're still good cards that are worth grabbing. For what it's worth, Hydrapple I actually love, and it is seeing a bunch of play and success in Japan. Plus, T0 artwork. Lets you attach an extra energy during your turn and heal 30. And then it does 30 plus 30 for each grass attached to all of your Pokemon. Which is pretty gosh darn cool. Dashbun just heals all your Pokemon that are evolved at the cost of all of their energy when you evolve into it. It's fine. It's not stunning. It's not an amazing card like that. But the artwork, I think, really is that good. And then there's a couple of other cards that we need to mention here, and they are the gold versions of Bravery Charm and Area Zero Underdepths. Now, Area Zero Underdepths I've already mentioned. It lets you have 8 bench Pokemon. It's a phenomenal card. It's great for Terrapagos, but it's also helping out a bunch of other Pokemon, including, for instance, Palkia. Like, Palkia legit becomes top tier when this card comes out. This turns Palkia into a great card, but I've seen so many decks playing this card. This card is busted. Love this card. Huge fan. The other one we've got here is Bravery Charm, and the good news is when it comes to Bravery Charm, we don't need to guess or predict if this is going to be a good card. We know it's a good card. Gives an extra 50 HP to your basic Pokemon. It's great. We see it being played everywhere. It's been played everywhere all along. Now we've got a nice gold version of it. Yeah, these cards are pretty gosh darn good. Bravery Charm, for what it's worth, is down there with Crispin and Dashburn, right at the bottom of this list, whereas Area Zero Underdepths is up there with, for instance, Full Art Lacey and Special Illustration Rare Hydrapple, very much kind of at the top of the list underneath the big three, if that makes any sense. Now, I know I gave you 11 cards there. I like to give 10, but what can I do? There's 11 you need to be looking out for. These are the ones you need to be looking out for. But the good news is there's a lot of cool cards in Stellar Crown. I'm hitting a pre-release this weekend. Are you hitting a pre-release? Let me know in the comment section, and let me know which cards you're looking out for, what your personal cards you're wanting to pull are. Go nuts in the comment section, but be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at @LeWasi. That's where we talk about Pokemon and a whole bunch of other card games. And please do consider checking out patreon.com/PTCG Radio, where you can support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all kinds of fun things. And get shout-outs on the channel, like the lovely Jelena Renji, who's helped us out with a bunch of stuff in the past, has been supporting for a while, and is just a generally all-round awesome person. So shout out to them for the support and the loveliness. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.